Okay, let's just jump right in. When we think about teaching kids how to read, we usually picture, elementary school. Little kids, picture books, the whole thing. But what if I told you that one of the biggest reading crises in our country is actually happening in our middle and high schools? It's this hidden challenge that's quietly locking smart, capable teenagers out of their own education. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on why secondary literacy just can't wait any longer. So to really get to the heart of this, I want to start with a question for you. Just think about it for a second. In our school system, at what grade level do we basically stop teaching students how to read? For the vast majority of students, the answer is around the 5th grade. Yep. After that, we pretty much assume they've got it figured out. We shift from learning to read to reading to learn. And you know what? That one single flawed assumption, well, that's where this whole crisis really begins. And that assumption leads students directly to what our source material calls the hidden literacy cliff. I want you to picture that. It's this jarring, sudden drop-off where all the great progress a kid makes in elementary school just slams right into a brick wall in middle or high school. So what does that wall look like? Well, check this out. In 5th grade, most of what you're reading is story-based. It uses everyday conversational language. The sentences are pretty straightforward. But then you hit 9th grade, and bam, the entire game changes overnight. All of a sudden, you're dealing with technical, discipline-specific language in your biology textbook, complex sentence structures in your history documents. I mean, the rules are completely different, but nobody ever stopped to teach the students how to play. And the result of this is, frankly, a systemic breakdown. It is so important to understand this. We're not talking about students who aren't smart. We're talking about smart kids who are being systematically locked out of learning. Think about it like this. Imagine you're trying to solve a really complicated math problem, but you also have to translate every single number from a foreign language before you can even use it. It's exhausting, right? That's what it's like for a struggling reader. Their brain is working so hard just to figure out what the words are. There's literally no mental bandwidth left to figure out what the words mean. Comprehension just isn't possible. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. We have got to reframe how we see this problem. When a teenager can't get through their chemistry textbook, it's not a personal failure. No, it's a flashing red light that the system failed to give them the tools for the task we assigned. And this puts our amazing high school teachers in a totally impossible spot. I mean, these are people who are brilliant chemists, passionate historians, incredible literary analysts. They are experts in their content. But the vast majority were never ever trained in the science of how to teach reading. They're trying to teach history, but they're realizing their students can't even get through the first paragraph of the primary source document. So what do? They improvise. They try their best. They might read the chapter out loud to the class, or maybe find a YouTube video that explains the concept so students don't have to read the text. And look, these are good intentions. They're survival skills. But the source material is blunt here. Improvisation is not a literacy strategy. It's a band-aid, not a cure. Okay, so now let's see how this one issue snowballs into something so much bigger. Because this isn't just about grades or test scores. This is a massive equity issue. Because literacy, when it's not explicitly taught, becomes the ultimate gatekeeper to opportunity. It all starts here, with a simple reading gap. The kids who can navigate complex text pull ahead, and the ones who can't start to fall behind. And pretty quickly, that reading gap turns into an opportunity gap. Suddenly, doors to advanced placement courses, to honors classes, the very courses that are seen as the path to college, they start to swing shut. And then, that opportunity gap becomes a life outcome gap. This isn't theoretical. This impacts graduation rates, college acceptance, career choices, earning potential, everything. It is a devastating domino effect that starts with not being able to read the 9th grade science book. So what on earth do we do? Well, we have to completely rethink what reading instruction looks like in middle and high school. And here's the key idea. This is not about remediation. It's not about dumbing things down. It's about giving every single student access to rich, complex, grade-level ideas. First things first, let's just bust a huge myth right now. The idea that bringing the science of reading into a high school means you're going to be handing out phonics worksheets to a bunch of 16-year-olds, that is completely 100% false. It's actually the opposite. It's about respecting their intelligence by giving them more sophisticated tools to tackle more sophisticated texts. And one of the most powerful tools in that toolbox is something called morphology. Okay, that sounds fancy, but it's really simple. It's basically teaching students to be word detectives, to break down big, intimidating words into their smaller, meaningful parts, like prefixes, roots, and suffixes.
Here's a perfect practical example. A student comes across the word photosynthesis. Instead of just memorizing a definition, they learn that the root photo means light and the root synthesis means putting together. All of a sudden, the word isn't scary anymore. It literally tells you its own meaning, putting together with light. That single skill is like a skeleton key that can unlock thousands of complex words in science, history, and beyond. It's a total game changer.
And you know what the best part is? A history teacher or a physics teacher doesn't have to become a full-blown reading specialist to do this. We're talking about small, practical shifts that can fit into any classroom and have a huge, huge impact. Okay, here are 3 really powerful strategies. First, focus on that academic vocabulary. We're talking about words like analyze, contrast, evaluate. They're the connective tissue of academic language. Second, something called think alouds. This is where the teacher literally just talks through their own thinking process out loud as they tackle a tough sentence. It makes the invisible work of reading visible to the students. And third, strategic scaffolding. Things like providing sentence starters or breaking a long text into smaller chunks. This keeps the thinking level high, but gives students a pathway to get there. It's about preserving rigor and dignity. So it's just as important to know what to stop doing. We have to stop lowering our standards or giving students easier text. And we have to stop relying on videos or reading everything aloud to them. That feels like helping, but it actually robs them of the chance to build their own reading muscles. And instead, what do? We start teaching kids that reading a lab report like a scientist is different from reading a historical document like a historian. And we start giving them those powerful linguistic tools, like word roots, so they can become the independent, confident readers they deserve to be. And all of this brings us to our final, and honestly, our most important point. This isn't just a new teaching trend. It's not another box to check. This is a profound call to action. I want you to just let that sink in for a moment. It's not an add-on. It's not a trend. It's a moral responsibility. When we graduate a student from high school who cannot read and understand the world around them, the news, a lease agreement, health information, we haven't just failed them academically. We have failed them as a society. So I'll leave you with this question. We always talk about giving our kids the keys to success. But let's be real clear. Literacy is the master key. It unlocks every single other door. So what happens to our society, to our world, when we finally make the choice to give that key to every single student?